Hey, Psychic Frank's Mystery School. Yeah, sun went into Pisces early this morning. It was 2 something this morning, 2:44, I think. So those who use cannabis, a little goes a long way. And those who drink alcohol, it's a cheap date. Yeah, Pisces rules higher consciousness, spirituality, sensitivity. So let our sensitivity not be a curse, but a blessing. You know, sensitive people are in now. Yeah, last year was all about Saturn Pluto square, all the muck, the old see Saturn's old control, and now it's Uranus, New Freedom. Square is no longer Saturn Pluto; it's Saturn Uranus. Reigns over 2021. It's like layers of an onion from last year. Saturn squared Pluto, that window of opportunities. Everybody likes flows, you know, sextiles. Yes, Gabby, thank you. My bird Gabby Hayes is here. Okay, sweetheart, you're my friend. By the way, speaking of friends, um, I'm Psychic Frank's Mystery School's in session. Thank you. When Bayvac had the studio open, SF Commons up at Trail Hill, I was able to take calls in the beautiful Flash studio they have. But now the studio's closed because of the virus. So, but they're still airing my shows twice a month there. So, and I met a lot of beautiful, I guess, technicians and people working there, studying there, and left. And I do healings on everybody I meet. I put my hands on them and do their numerology, and I see their faces on this thing called Link Up or something, and and then I say, oh yeah, I'd like to see that person, like Jackie. Just the other day, I saw Terrence McCrae, all these people I know from Bayvac and SF Commons, and I'd love to see them. And then I go to the how do you link up with these people when you have to go through Facebook. Now there isn't enough tea in Mexico, tea in China for me to uh, they lost my scent. It was the worst couple of years of my life. I got on Facebook as an experiment the year before when Donald Trump started to run, and I got off a year after. Actually, I was thrown off uh, because I said something about one of the Trump kids. I used a four-letter word, and someone reported me a Trumper, a Trumpistanian. So it was a blessing though, because now I realize, oh wow, that wasn't for me, you know. Oh, because how could I get? I was getting sucked up into all. It was very subtle, you know. And then I realized, oh my God, no, these. I'm not that kind of friend, you know. I can't be doing that. I'm laughing because it would have killed me. It would have literally killed me. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't want to understand it. I just don't. It's not for me. This land phone does it all for me. Okay, so but if you're somebody I know who would like to get a hold of me, my shows are uploaded onto YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. That's a stretch for me. That's a big thing. So just type in Psychic Frank's Mystery School, and then go to my YouTube channel and type in something. Type in your email address, and I'll get a hold of you, and then give you my phone number, and we can set up a time, or you can meet me in the park across the street here in Hayes Valley. Right, Gabby? Yes, okay, darling. I love you. Yes, you know I love you, baby. Okay, so this year it's all about Saturn squares Pluto. 2023 through 2044, Pluto will be firmly in Aquarius. Until then, it's going to go back and forth like 27, 28, 28, 29 Capricorn, and then 0 1 degree Aquarius. But by 2023, that's when the new order sets in. By then, I believe Jupiter will be in Pisces or Aries, and Saturn will be, I think, finishing up its Aquarius reign. Okay, what happened just yesterday was the first of 3 squares of Saturn Uranus, and that was on. It's all 7, 13, and 11 degrees Aquarius, Taurus. 11 degrees Aquarius, 11 degrees Taurus. So it's February 17th. That was yesterday. Then another one is June 14th and December 24th. Christmas. And just Joe Biden this morning, there was him looking in the camera saying by Christmas, he feels the economy and the virus will have a handle on all that. So, as usual, the Dems come in and clean up the mess. But boy, the Dems never had a mess like this. Our fragile democracy took a beating. The planet took a beating. And that's why I feel so good today and feel like celebrating. Rush Limbaugh, he's on the other side and he's being looked over by God and by the powers that be. Brahmins looking him over and saying, wow, man, you're in trouble. You thought, what a wretched man he was. What did Lenny Bruce say? Dying's the best rush of all. That's why they save it for last, So hope he enjoyed it while he had it. He flaunted it while he had it because he raped some karma. He raped karma you don't even want to. So, we got to get away from trying to dominate the earth. We've been doing that for the last couple of 100 years, big time. And we got to adapt and nurture the earth rather than dominate it. That's the whole new order in the Reader's Digest version. Okay. Mars trine Saturn and Jupiter, energizing future potential. Yeah, so numerology for the United States of America, though, is a 7, wisdom year. So, and next year's all around money, just like Joe Biden said, Christmas Eve. And then by Christmas Eve, a week away from the new year. So by 2022, the economy will be back. I just hope we get, my hope for the future is we get this thing they're doing out of space. Once again, I'm not saying it as a flip saying. Alan Watts, early Alan Watts was spot on. Late Alan Watts was ramblings of an alcoholic. And I just don't, it's no good me calling anybody an alcoholic. So I don't see any, unless they call themselves, many people call me an alcoholic until I finally one day said, I'm powerless over this garbage. It's poison to me. And so I don't see anybody as sick. I see people as sick and healthy. I don't see bad and good, different degrees of sickness. And like, say, for instance, every alcoholic, like that guy in Bayvac, they fired, who's now at City Hall. There had to be a lot of enablers for every functioning, dysfunctioning person, like an alcoholic. There's got to be a lot of enablers until those enablers finally cut the cord. Does that person admit, like, wow, yeah, nobody, I must have a problem, but you make calling anybody alcoholic doesn't do any good. So, yeah, I finally found the last piece of the whole why our TARS shows aren't being tagged. I believe it's racist. I believe Comcast doesn't even have SF Commons on the remote control. It just has local listings. It should have our names of all of our SF Commons producers, and that will happen again. It's going to take a while, but it's totally racist. Bayvac, I thought it was just between Bayvac and SF Commons, rather Bayvac and Comcast. Then I realized it's this Phil Mateer, this Channel 7 owned by Disney, 35 years, their best reporter, has been a shill for the corporations. And then he ran for me, Reader's Digest version, he ran for me 10 years ago because word was I was going around asking questions why they were doing this illegal thing, why Comcast Comcast never wanted cable access TV. It took Ross McElreamy when he was a supervisor. He really poured his heart into it, and the voters voted wholeheartedly to keep Comcast had to provide SF Commons. And at that moment, they had a plan. And what their plan was, not to, they couldn't just kill us. The voters voted for it. But I'm not a hunter. As a matter of fact, I was disowned because this dog wouldn't hunt. I couldn't kill. I couldn't shoot a gun. I couldn't kill anything. But they, from what I hear, hunters, they call it a bleed out. They shoot something and then they follow the trail of blood. Eventually, it just dies. So that's what Comcast is doing to SF Commons now. Yeah, ask anybody on the street of San Francisco. Have you ever heard of Bayvac? Oh yeah, yeah. Do you know SF Commons then? No. What are you talking about? So it's pretty much we're the Walking Dead, but it's racist. It's anti-global. SF Commons has so many, and then I realized the other day. So City Hall's on it too. So we got City Hall, Comcast, all these corporations, Disney. And Bayvac, who supposedly is a nonprofit, they are a nonprofit. So Comcast is shaking down a nonprofit for $8,000 a month to do what the voters of San Francisco voted they should do. I mean, something's rotten in Denmark. You get my drift there, So any of you young people want to be inspired on a local level to change, we don't, we all can't pick up our lives and go somewhere to Washington, D.C. and, throw our bodies on the line. But right here in San Francisco, we can wake up and realize it's Willie Brown. We haven't had a president. Yeah, Gabby's laughing. We haven't had a president, right, Gabby, honey? In this for decades, Willie Brown's been calling the shots in this city. I used to love Richard Rand's show. He and Nick Fell, Galaxy Chamber there. I would love to call his show. Richard Rant, as a political people would call in and rant about politics. And all you had to do was mention those two words, Willie Brown to Richard Rant's. And the man is an authority on why really how horrible that little person is. I had a feeling the other day. I was thinking about him and how, because he's got friends. Obviously, he's a master manipulator, dangerous man. And I thought the undisputed truth had to have Willie Brown in mind when they came up with backstabbers. Smile in your face. I shook his hand. He smiled in my face. The man is. He's just amazing, you want to think, you really want to believe he's not this bad a person, but he really is, and they're already grooming Willie when he's got a little couple of juniors that are running around who are adults now. They're gonna, it's not saying it's silly. The Democratic Party is Willie Brown. Dr. Willie, he's not even a doctor, mayor, wherever he is. And he's, just like when Ed Lee, whose whole campaign was he was going to get rid of the poor and the homeless, that he made homeless. And then you get like Rachel Maddow, San Francisco, their first openly Chinese mayor. I have a feeling the reason Chinese bashing is going on now, people haven't gotten over the reign of terror Ed Lee caused for the Chinese community. Ask Jane Kim. I worked the phones when she was running for mayor. And because I liked her a lot, and I thought she was going to help out the cannabis community, but she didn't, and she didn't get elected. But I worked the phones, and many times I would mention, "Yeah, you're going to vote for Jane Kim," and I'm not making this up. They call it the Asian flu, and this was like a while back. This was 8, 9 years ago. Right, Gabby? So I'm not being racist there, but Ed Lee, they're all saying now, it's all Trump's fault that all these Asians are being violently beat up in Chinatown, Oakland, and San Francisco. And yeah, that's true, but a lot of them are not forgiven. Ed Lee sent the Asian community back 100 years, and then the universe took him out. So, people, you're here to learn, we're here to learn. Okay, so let's see what else we get. Okay, so the 3 dates there, those are windows of opportunity against the old order. Oh yeah, I love this. I found this on the computer. So it was under one of the Bill Maher shows. Just because you got the monkey off your back doesn't mean the circus left town. Oh yeah, and this one I love. If someone kidnapped your child and sold them, where would you want us to put up a statue of that person? Yeah, it's really up to, it's really, that's it. Yeah, that's yes, Gabby. Thank you, my darling. Oh, yes, you're so sweet. Okay, so let's see what we got here now. Okay, so the numerology for the United States. This is commercially. This Asian guy's doing sitting on the bench with the Statue of Liberty behind him, and he's doing this insurance commercial with a seagull, and then all of a sudden, all these seagulls are all over them. I've been there. I've been there with that. Oh, Mercury goes direct tomorrow. Okay, so look at your birth charts. It went 26 degrees Aquarius the 30th of last month, January, and then it's 11 degrees now. And then tomorrow it goes direct 11 degrees Aquarius. So look at 11 and then look at 26 Aquarius and whatever house, wherever that is, that's the area you had a chance to rethink. And so this is for the United States of America. We're a 5 life path. It's a universal 5 year, but personally, this is because America's day and month vibrates to 11, which is 2, 11/2. 5 and 2 is 7. So 2021 is a wisdom year for this United States of America. And collectively, for the universe, it's a wisdom month. Next month, the economy is definitely going to pick up. And oh yeah, before we get to the cards, I wanted to mention how this book is amazing. I reread this several times. Al Gore, 2003, The Assault on Reason, and it's really, really a couple of paragraphs in here. Because every time I mention W and Cheney, people roll their eyes and say those people aren't relevant anymore, Frank, especially young people. And a lot of people don't even remember, that was 20 years ago, you know what I mean? People who vote now have no memory of what really happened. Gabby, we're a little busy now, honey. Go eat your supper. Yeah, and they talk about we'll get back to, it said Thomas Jefferson warned that the concentration of power in the executive branch would lead to corruption unless there was a full and vigorous scrutiny of its appointments by the public. Appointed positions in the federal government would, in effect, be auctioned off to the business interest. Most affected by decisions made by those appointed, and quote unquote, withdrawn from the. Gabby, stop it now, please! Withdraw from the eyes of the people, he wrote. They may secretly be bought and sold as the markets. It goes, in Bush's ideology, there is an interweaving of the agendas of large corporations that supported him and his own obscenity, ostensibly public agenda for the government that he leads. Their preferences become his politics, and his politics become their business. The White House is evidently so beholden to the coalition of interests that has supported it financially that it feels it has to give them whatever they want to do, whatever they say. While President Bush likes to project an image of strength and courage, the truth is that in the presence of his large financial contributors and to powerful political supporters, he is morally timid, so much that he seldom ever says no to them, anything, no matter what the public interest might mandate. He talks about Machiavellian, a prince who would maintain his authority is so often compelled to be other than good. He goes, just as the appointment of industry lobbyists, now this is very important for Dick Cheney here, just as, Gabby, please, stop it! Just as the appointment of industry lobbyists is to keep positions in agencies that oversee their former employees result in a kind of institutionalized corruption and the abandonment of law enforcement and regulations at home, the outrageous decision to brazenly grant sole source and no bid contracts worth $10 billion to Vice President Cheney's former company Halliburton, which paid him $150 million annual until 2005, was convinced many observers that incompetence, cronyism, and corruption have played a significant role in undermining U.S. policy in Iraq. Now, I'll tell you, this book, Al Gore, it wasn't George Bush. He's a special needs president. He totally dumbed down. He waved to Stevie Wonder. He was just an embarrassment. And it was going around. We thought he was the worst liar until Trump came along. And then Al Gore says something in the beginning of the book here. The potential for manipulating mass opinions and feelings initially discovered by commercial advertisers is now being even more extensive. This was 2003. Exploited by a new generation of media. Machiavelli is there. As a result, our democracy is in danger of being hollowed out. The opinions of voters are sometimes, in effect, being purchased, just as demands for new products is artificially created. Decades ago, American journalists, it goes on and on. So, we've got to rein in advertising. There's a movie with Spencer Tracy, I believe is the best actor that ever worked on the planet. And Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn made a string of movies in the 40s and 50s there. One was, I think, Pat and Mike. They're both lawyers. And, yes, Gabby, I know. And she... Judy Holliday shoots her husband or something, and Katharine Hepburn is defending her, and of course there's tension in their marriage. And anyway, he cries in the court, and that night they're having a after dinner cocktail, and she said, "I gotta admit, seeing you cry in front of that jury really moved me." And he said it was all an act. And she said, "No, I saw the tears roll down your face." And he says, "Oh no, I could do it anytime." And then he proceeds to cry, real tears in just a matter of seconds. I was in acting school, and I had a girlfriend who worked on a soap opera, and she told me she used to pull hairs out of her nose when she needed to cry on camera. While her back was turned, she just immediately made the tears run down her face. And she says, she says to him, well, that must be just a biological, chemical in your body thing, but, no, and he goes, "Oh no, I could really pour it on." Then he throws in the sobs. I mean, he's gasping and sobbing, and the tear, and that's an actor, Then you get these like Kelsey Grammer, these Tom Sellecks, corporations get these actors. Well, let's face it, outside of these, like I said, Spencer Tracy's, these, Johnny Depp, more contemporary, brilliant actors, these really like wholehearted, talented guys. Look at Cicely Tyson just passed on. She would never sell Depends underwear. She would never lower herself to do commercials for insurance, but you get these like no talent actors who sort of made it on TV, and they seduce them with these obscene amounts of money, and then and that's what you see, so you're seeing a liar, they're like really good liars. I mean, actors have been around since the Greek and Roman theater, talking thousands of years, there's been actors, and the good ones are the best liars, I studied acting in the 60s. That's what I did while I was waiting to go to Vietnam. I never did get to go to Vietnam, but my number never came up. But that's another story. But I worked off Broadway, and a lot of times people would come up to me and say, "Wow, you really moved me. I really believe." So in essence, what we're talking about are these trained liars in your house coming into your living room and lying to your face. Like as I said, Tom Selleck, he must be a nice guy. He's gone to seed, but I like to think everybody's basically nice. And how he starts the whole commercial. They show it like 1,000 times a week, at least 100 times a day. And there he is. He and now Kelsey Grammer, and they got all these, and these never that good actors. Uh, you know. And he starts off this one. Kelsey Grammer looks right in the camera and says, "I wouldn't be here if I wasn't, your best friend trying to help you serve, save, man. At least start off with some honesty." Like so what? I'd be at an envelope opening if I knew there was $1 in it for me, because I'm just trying to fill that gap in my life with money. I don't know, all this money, it never really occurred to me to use what I have to get some good therapy. Maybe check into a Tibetan monastery and work on greed as one of my character defects. Maybe I should step aside and let young actors come along. I mean, I love that scene in Chinatown where Jack Nicholson, they cut his nose open and he exposes this whole LA. They're poisoning the water. And John Huston, Angelica Houston's in it, and her father. Oh, it's a real sordid movie, Chinatown. And at one point, Jack Nicholson figures it all out, and he looks at him and he says, "How well can you eat?" So I want to say to Willie Brown, and all these corporations that are just literally throwing SF Commons under the bus, and that's a shame, That's a shame. That's a shame. I want to say, Willie Brown, how well can you eat, man? How well can you eat? I'm sure at this stage of the game, all these politicians, the Bayback executives, there's a whole bunch of nice people there now, or you wouldn't be watching me here on Saturday night, so thank you for that. But the old ones are still hanging around. They're, there's not angels in the architecture. Though there's dark forces at work. Let's face it, this is what Earth is all about. You get these Musk guy. They just blew up. Was it millions of dollars in another attempt? Oh yeah, they're marketing the moon. Let's face it. Would you like to live? After if you're fortunate to have a tropical fish aquarium, and then the fish eventually die when you lose interest in them, and you're stuck with this aquarium. Usually, someone buys it at a garage sale, and they make a terrarium out of it. They stick some plants in there, and then and that's really what Mars and life would be on. Life in a terrarium. So breathe in as much fresh air as you can when you lift off your mask when there's no one around, because honey, they want to. Who knows what these fiendish minds have, and we haven't. We're here to earn our galactic right. All I saw was all these kids going to hunger, going to bed, with rickets, malnutrition. Their bodies are all caved in from malnutrition. And this Musk guy laughed in all their faces. Said, "Hey, watch this, kids. Watch this bird. Look at that. He looks like a lima bean. He looks like a lima bean somebody painted a face on." And oh boy, the press is all bought and sold for. All the local news stations, all the cable stations, they can't say what we can say here on cable access TV. That's why they want to get rid of us. Oh man, I should light a match under you, but man, wake up and see what they're letting us bleed out. They're letting us bleed out. And it's not right. It's not right. I believe it's definitely, my guides tell me it's not hopeless. We need somebody, follow the money, somebody do something. Eventually, as I said, by the end of the summer, as our president, God bless him, Joe Biden, said, by Christmas, by the third of the square between Saturn and Uranus, let's see where that will be. let's see where that will be. I have the chart for the United States of America here. For Joe Biden, oh yeah, he's got Uranus in opposition to his sun, Mercury. Yeah, he's got hidden forces. He's got hidden talents that took a while to ripen. It took a while for them to ripen. 1 minute, there's something I'm looking for here now. I'm looking for the United States of America's. Oh, here it is. No, no, wrong book. Well, I'll have it next time. Let's pick some cards for you all. We only have around 10 minutes left. Well, I love you too, Gabby. Yes, you're a sweetheart. Albert Einstein said the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. It's not that I'm so smart, he said, but I stay with the question longer. You never fail until you... Yeah, I kept on saying, something's rotten in Denmark. Why is this? Why all of a sudden Bayvac took over SF Commons, and all of a sudden that same a month later our show stopped being tagged, and after a few years, I got a hint. I got a hint that from Mindy herself, saying right to my face, Bayvac is SF Commons is demanding $8,000 a month to tag our shows, and I didn't want to go that City Hall's in it, because sometimes, I think of the worst scenario, and that's just so bad I didn't want to go there, because the implications of, like, Willie Brown being in cahoots with all these corporations, and it was a given, okay, we're going to do a slow kill on SF Commons, we're giving them to Bayvac, they'll sell their mother for their gold teeth there, so, they'll do anything. They got their token lesbian and Jennifer, she's as despicable as they come. I mean, this is what they probably said, because there's some decent lesbians out there. I mean, she gave, just like Ed Lee set the Chinese community back 100 years, Jennifer set the lesbian, gay, LGBTQ movement back. If it got out with her role in sabotaging SF Commons gets out, she better move to another country and start life under another name, because as I said, it's not too late. You can whip it into shape. You can come clean. You can get, if you're going to change there's a witness protection for you. You could move to Portugal and drink yourself to death on good wine, whatever. But you got to, somebody's got to break. So every chain has got a weak link. Somebody's got to know exactly where the bodies, and that's that filmatier, that guy knows where all the bodies. If he does it, nobody passes Win in City Hall for the last 35 years with him knowing what they had for breakfast and what it smelled like and what time it went off and when it might happen again. So, he knew I was banging on doors wanting some answers. That's why when he saw me, he ran like bat out of hell. I laugh because it's so sad, but that the fact that he would be so intimidated by me, and then I realized, he knew back then, and I didn't put it together. If you notice right over Gabby's head there's I purposely tilted the camera this way so you could see part of the altar I did to John Lewis. And the reason I'm even doing this is because John Lewis told me in meditation the other day to cause some trouble. And then he flashed me back to 10 years ago when this guy, this alcoholic Mindy hired to terrorize all of us producers, pounded his finger in my chest with alcohol on his breast, saying, "Jennifer said you're making trouble for us." Well, yeah, I am. That's how much I love this city, San Francisco. That's how much I love democracy. That I'm laying so low you can't fall off the floor, but I could disappear. Like if they asked me to go to City Hall for a meeting, I wouldn't go because I know they had the bone saw waiting for me. They'll do a Khashoggi on me. I'll check in, but I won't check out. Yeah. Oh, you kidding? It's a lot of money. People have been killed for $10, and I'm talking a whole lot of money. Channel 76 and 29 is like enough money to make our eyes go around like lemons on a roulette wheel there on a slot machine. So it's taken them a long time for the slow kill. But please, SF Comics people, you know, get hip to what it is now. And the other day I was talking to a beloved friend of mine of almost 4 decades, an accomplished woman of color, a doctor of philosophy, building schools involved in poverty, building schools in Africa, most intelligent, amazing, inspirational, intelligent woman. And she really gets what I'm doing. But even with her, I couldn't mention Neil deGrasse Tyson just because I couldn't mention Condoleezza Rice. Even though Condoleezza Rice was as guilty as Sid in Cheney and Bush's thing there, and she still is taking her secrets with her there. But bless her soul, let her do what she's going to do. I've given up. I'm not going to say anything bad about Condoleezza Rice. She knows in her heart, the wash that was done there, and so, but definitely, what's the other one there? Uh, yeah, okay. So anyway, let me see what the Pilmatar there. There's a lot of people that know what's going on. So yeah, Al Gore. Al Gore, well, let's see. That's why I mentioned that we're leaving 200 years of Earth domination, old order, male domination. Now it's yin, female, liberation, democracy. Aquarius is totally justice and equal government for the people. It's we're going to definitely have to get the Supreme Court to undo corporations or people. Corporations as they approved. They're running amok now. I mean, they're totally ignoring the whole effect that the mind has and the subconscious has on the. Gabby, we're just about done, honey. Just give me 10 more minutes. Yeah, we got 10 minutes. You could do that. Faith is. Edith Hamilton said. Hamelon, not Hamilton. Hamelon, Hamilon, but it's good. I like the quote. Faith is not belief. Belief is passive. Faith is active. One faces the future with one's past. Pearl S. Buck said that. So as I said, there's got to be some law student, some gutsy reincarnation of Angela Davis, or somebody somewhere is watching this, or knows somebody who's watching this now, and they're looking for a challenge. They're looking for a movie or something that's really affecting local. Well, this is it, right under their noses. I've given up there, when before the virus, for years I would, any chance I got, I would come up to people at a red light, waiting for the streets to cross, and I'd say, "Do you have Comcast TV?" And they'd say, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, do you watch SF Comics?" And they look at me. I go, "Did you ever hear of SF Comics?" "No." "You know about Bayvac?" "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." So Bayvac has done a killer job on, literally, killer job on promoting themselves. Madison Avenue should be very proud of themselves. According to Madison Avenue, which is, of course, is not really only Madison Avenue advertising, is basically, I think, moved to LA. But thanks to that whole advertising industry now, the American populace, I don't think about global. I think globally they're a lot more intelligent, but especially in America where direct-to-consumer pharmaceutical ads are happening now. The public in America believes that there's one form of life on the planet that's totally void of anything resembling a shadow, and that's corporations. Corporations, it's the furthest thing from the truth. They're so evil. Every time they do one good thing, say like you see some corporation giving a few $1,000 or $100,000, think of that other hand going into all the pockets, taking 100,000 times that. They are, do they cheat us and how? And yet in their minds, these corporations have you got to hand it to advertising. They have totally painted this picture that, and that's why if corporations are people, there's no person that isn't void of the shadow. We all have a dark side, and you don't want to conspire with the dark forces at work. And that's exactly what Willie Brown's been doing. And yet, he's still, I just saw him on national TV the other day, oh yeah, Joe Biden is probably going to get him in the White House. Yeah, he's, the people have bought that Willie Brown doesn't understand all the damage Newsom did, Ed Lee did, Ed Lee's protege, the current mayor we have now, all of these people were the Democratic Party put them there, and who's the Democratic Party but Willie Brown? So it's not a really hard Columbo episode. It was hard for me to imagine it was that overwhelming, because then I realized, well, we really are screwed, And so Smokey Robinson said, it's going to take a miracle. But you know what? I wouldn't be here if miracles didn't happen. So as I said, I'm not going to beat this one anymore. Albert Einstein said something. Oh, yeah, let me pick a few cards for you. We have a good 10 minutes left here, 12 minutes left. Okay, so what are my friends who are watching me now? And remember, as I feel in recovery, and we're all in recovery from something, instead of praying for things, pray solely for God's will for you, knowledge of God's will for you, and the power to carry that out. And then boom, 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 boom. Doors appear where there were no doors. Boom, 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 boom. And then once again, every life you get those bad days. You get some of those days where it doesn't pay to get out of the coffin. Like the other day, a dear friend of mine, her son called me from New Jersey, and I really thought she had beat cancer 4 or 5 years ago, and just like Louise Hay, it came back, and I believed she was going to beat it again. But I sort of knew that when the doctor turned his back on her is when she really realized what I've been telling her all along. These doctors aren't going to be doing the dying when that part comes. And all of a sudden, she didn't know the man. He started using all these, well, the disease runs its course, make sure your affairs are in order. In other words, there is no hope, and of course, so there was one of those days where, someone I really, really cared a lot about each other, and so, as I said, it was one of those days where, and everything went sort of like, but the next day, I finally realized usually I give them 30 days to make the transition. In our time, that's how long it takes to go across to the other side. But I always, in this case, and sometimes, when I'm involved, I pick 1 or 2 cards to make sure they didn't get stuck, between worlds. And immediately I saw that it was a few months ago, her boyfriend of 40-something years they lived separately, but they were an item. They were totally in love, and he was in assisted living home and died of COVID. And I'd forgotten that was like 6 months ago. And as soon as I did a few cards the other day for her, I saw that, oh yeah, he was there waiting for her, and it was like oodles of happiness. And yeah, it was definitely, in this case, was a sweet surprise. When it's your time, usually that's the reaction, like, oh, why did they spend so much energy being afraid? This is so wonderful. It is Emmanuel gave a lecture once about eternal life, life after this earth school, when we graduate and go home. And he was going on this trans-channeler through Pat Rodegeist, Emmanuel, beautiful spirit, yeah. And the cynic in the back of the room raised his hand and said, yeah, that's a beautiful thought. And Emmanuel said, the universe is a beautiful thought. I know it's true because I actually left my body September 19th, 1982. I wanted to stay. I wanted to stay. So, now, see, that's why I say I had the advantage Carl Jung didn't have. You know, I was so soul sick and so blessed. You know, many are chosen, many are called, few were chosen. And for some reason, as I said, I got a sample of why I should finish out why I'm here. And this, I guess, is why I'm here because this is what I'm doing now. It's what I'm doing now. So, yeah, 72. I'm a late bloomer, but I've never been in better health. I'm looking on getting I'm only 72, so I don't think I'm eligible to get a VAR or get the thing yet. Yes, Gabby, I've got my dependent. Uh, Okay, so what I got now for all of you guys, uh, death will pick you up, spin you around, and drop you down deeper in your own life. Yep, the old order's gone. The old order is gone. It's gone. Death will pick us up. We're going through the spin now. We're seeing the death of the old order more and more, especially this year now. As I said when I first started this show, when you hear these reporters, you know, spinning their wheels about, you know, the next 4 years and Donald Trump and all that, they're not taking into account 176, 170 something indictments. I know it's 171, 176. I don't know if there's a loop on the bottom there, but I know it's 170 something. Everywhere, even the inauguration money. I mean, they were breaking laws left and right. And there's no presidential immunity now. I was wondering, being he does have round the clock bodyguards now because the immune, you know, thing didn't, so the taxpayers have to foot. Does he get bodyguards while he's in prison? If they handcuff him and put him in prison, does he lose that? You know, does a felon, does a president, as I said, nobody but Letitia James and the FBI, the Attorney General of New York, have seen those 4 decades of tax forms, and it's going to show clearly he was laundering money for the Russians. Yeah, knowledge. Just like George Bush made the pendulum go dumb is good and robbed us blind, Cheney, Cheney, Cheney. You know, that whole book is just full. I have a lot of respect for Al Gore, I tell you. Okay, it's going to be November of this year. Yeah, by December of this year, 7 and 3 is 1. Just like I said, the last of the 3 squares. The second one's in June. The first one was yesterday, and that's the one that's going to totally liberate us. It's not going to happen, I believe, for a couple of years, but it's inevitable. It happens every 1,000 years, and it hasn't happened for a couple of 1,000 years. But eventually, the magnetic poles are going to flip. That's going to knock everything out of order. It's going to all our nuclear disarmament, all our weapons will be useless. I hope none of them go off. I hope there's safety measures. We're going to talk more about that. In case we run out of time, remember when you go to sleep at night, surround yourself with the light and love of the Holy Spirit. Leave your troubles, your challenges at the end of your bed, and definitely download black holes. Most people see this great attractor, this big black hole that's eventually going to eat us up. You never hear anything positive about these black holes, but they emit knowledge, eons of wisdom and knowledge to us. You know, this friend of mine who was defending Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I believe is, bet my reputation as a psychic, he's an exact incarnation of Carl Sagan, and she was defending him, saying, oh, he's always talking about the universe being mystical. You know, he throws the word mystical out there, but he's totally scientific. Science is, and he ask him about extraterrestrials. I looked at a few shows, his newer contemporary shows, and actually they skirt those issues. The Big Bang Theory. I like one of these shows. Well, they're comedy shows. I would love to have him sit his butt on a show with some like Rupert Sheldrake or some of these or other people who believe that the Big Bang Theory never took place. It was what's the opposite of Big Bang is slow ooze, whimper. They say life is going to end not with a bang but with a whimper, and now they're selling us on these industries. NASA, under national security, man, they could get away with anything. Edgar Casey said that, and that was back when Kennedy was around. Yeah, yeah, we're going to be sad. It's sad to realize, that so many people have been, like the movies have taken them over. They've totally been bought a false set of goods, and that's part of growing up. That's part of when you realize, this is shit. This is Shinola. This is Joe Biden. This is Shinola. This is Trump. This is shit. I don't know how else to put it. Okay, before enlightenment, shop would carry water. After enlightenment, shop would carry water. Please spread the word that it's really, really wrong that SF Commons is not on everybody's remote control. Never mind our shows being tagged, but at least, meet us a tenth of the way. At least put SF Commons out there. And, human beings are the main thing we need to understand. We're trying to understand under the earth now, finally. The oceans are finally exploring them. We definitely know every little nook and cranny of all these planets, but we know nothing about human psyche and all these all these things, and yet we're the most dangerous thing on the planet. There's nothing more dangerous and nothing more bewilderingly spiritual. We're human becomings. I saw this beautiful black man on one of these Tamara shows there, or whatever, Tamala there, and he was saying male to men. Male just means you were born with male genitalia, men is like you're emotionally mature. Well, I think it's the same theory as we're becoming. We're human becomings. We're not human beings. We're human becomings, and how we get to be human being is through compassion and by getting rid of our negative illusions that have authority over us. Oh my God, I got a few seconds left. Say thank you, Gabby. Say thanks. Say goodbye. I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you, honey. Okay, namaste. I'll be back in March. Thank you.